Hello and welcome to episode 101 or 101. It's weird being past the hundreds now. I don't know how to say that. I'm your co-host, Steve Bullen, and I'm joined as always by Austin Dallalonga and Medicine Hat. And we have another special guest on for this episode, member of the Calgary Wolfpack of the Alberta Football League, Kelsey Fender, also coach in the big time 7-on-7 spring and fall league run by Keon Raymond. Kelsey, thank you for joining us, my friend.
Hey, thanks a lot for having me, Steve. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So first of all, Kelsey, we're going to get this out of the way. I'm outnumbered right now. Auzzie and yourself are Alouettes fans. So
Are
get
you?
any 13th man
Yes.
jokes out of the way. I'm a Riders fan. So just whatever you got to say, just let's get it out of the way and we can talk some football here.
Well, so funny story about that game.
Oh, great. That's
that
not
was,
the that's
that
not
was
where we
a
wanted
great,
to go.
that was a great day. So I grew up just outside of Montreal there. And my mom had come out to watch that Grey Cup in 2009. And she bought me a little 2009 Grey Cup ball and all that. And when she got to the airport, she saw Anthony Calvillo there. And she had met Anthony Calvillo at a handful of charity events and all that, so went up, started talking to him, and then didn't take too long before they realized that my mom was on the same flight as the whole team coming home, as well as the Grey Cup itself.
Wow.
So she took this ball that came like with a pen for some autographs, and she passed it up and down the plane. And I won't show it to you, Steve, because I don't want I don't want to get this started off on a bad note. But it's actually sitting right behind me.
Let's go.
Oh, you gotta grab it.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's too late. You can't kill what's already dead, and that's my soul after that game. So
Steve, you've just been through the ringer with that game, and then followed by the classic Super Bowl 49. I don't envy you.
Yeah, it's been a rough go. I mean, I'm thankful the Riders and Seahawks both have won titles, but it doesn't erase the pain. So
yeah, they could have more. Am I right?
They could have more. Yeah, exactly. What a great perspective, Kelsey. Off to a flying start here. Love it.
Yeah.
Kelsey coming in with a flex too. I just love that, and it's an Alouettes flex. So let's go.
Honestly, that is one of my prized possessions. One of the players, Anwar Stewart, said, this is something. Never sell this football. So that'll probably join me in the grave way down the road. So
there you go, man. Love that.
Alrighty, so we got some of that Alouettes fandom background. Now, give us a little bit more of your background from just outside of Montreal and how you got into football.
Yeah, so I started playing when I was about 9 years old. So that would have been 2005. I started playing ball. I got into football. My mom had a really, really close friend who used to be Miss Edmonton Eskimo. She's a big Edmonton Eskimo fan, or I guess the Edmonton football team nowadays. So we had gone to a game. I had never watched a football game before. I was just a kid, and I remember going. And this was actually Mike Pringle's last year when he was playing for Edmonton, and just the atmosphere there, watching guys like Pringle, Calvillo, Cahoon, like all the guys that would have been on the field that day. It just like from that day on, I said, I want to play football for the rest of my life. So got started up with the local team out there, the St. Lazare Stallions, and played with them until I moved out here. So I was about 16 years old when I stopped playing for them. That's just a little bit of how I got into it, right? I just, took one game at Percival Molson Stadium, and I just fell in love with football. So
that's fantastic. And then, and you've been playing, you played a little bit there till you're 16. And then what was kind of your journey once you came to Alberta here?
It was definitely very different, to say the least, coming from club football out in Montreal to playing high school football out here in Alberta. There was definitely a little bit of a shift in talent level that might have thrown me off a little bit. Let's put it this way. The kids out there are just built differently. I don't know what they put in that water. But at 15, 16 years old, I played with, some grown men. So coming out here, I went to Sir Winston Churchill High School. So we weren't a Div 1 school either. We had more so we cared about the reputation of the school as opposed to actually winning games and being competitive, on the same level as the NDs or the St. Francis. So yeah, it was definitely a big culture shock to come out here and realize, we can't yell anything we want, at least in one of the two languages, from the sidelines. So yeah, I learned the hard way in my first game. My mom will attest to that. I was kind of up and down the sidelines, spouting off, really just caught in the emotion of the game. And needless to say, the principal had to pull me out of class the next day and calm me down and make me understand that, we have a reputation and, we're actually representing a school as opposed to just a football program. So.
That's really interesting. So, Kelsey, how did that journey from playing football in Quebec to Alberta lead to you playing with the Calgary Wolfpack? And can start there, and then can you tell us a little more about what that's like to play for the Wolfpack and kind of the culture? It's a men's league, so you just the diversity of people that you'd have on that team. If you can speak to that later on, but what led you to join the Wolfpack first of all?
Yeah, so right out of high school, because another thing out east is we don't film the games. So I didn't have any game film really, except for that 1 year that I played at Churchill. So I went out right out of high school, went to a couple workouts with the Calgary Colts. But that team and the culture that they had around that team, if they don't know who you are, they don't care who you are. So after a couple practices with them, I realized, what, I'm not going to play for this program. I wasn't a good student, so university ball wasn't an option coming out of high school. So it took about a year off of football, and in throwing around with my buddies, and just running around, making catches, making some nice throws. I knew my playing days weren't done. I still had so much more left in the tank and so much more to give. That one day I decided just to go online. I was actually looking for like a flag league or a touch league, something to play. And I ended up stumbling across the Alberta Football League, which we'll get a little bit more into the Alberta Football League, as you said, Steve, in a bit. But there was 3 teams in the Calgary area at the time. There was the Airdrie Irish. And I mean, they have the ugliest green uniforms. So there wasn't a chance I was going to go play for them. And then there was the Calgary Gators and the Calgary Wolfpack. So between the two of them, I did my research, and the Calgary Wolfpack had said, 15 or 16 Alberta Football League championships, 4 national championships. So I looked and I was like, oh, that's the team I want to play for. That's the team with a winning culture. So I got in touch with the president of the Wolfpack at the time, Jim Lightfoot, and I sold myself in an email. I hyped myself up like there's no tomorrow. I was like, I've been to this camp and this camp. I was trained by the Alouettes growing up. Blah blah blah. And,
cover letter of all cover letters.
Yeah, exactly. Even for my career, I haven't written a cover letter like this. And Jim got back to me and said, hey, if you come out and practice with us a couple days, maybe we can find you some gear and get you suited up for our last game. And I was like, oh, sweet. I sold myself so well. They want me. And I showed up to practice, and there was 8 guys.
Oh.
8 guys at practice.
Oh, no.
So they told me the story of what happened with the Wolfpack. And so they had won the Alberta Football League in 2014. And then all the talented guys went to the Gators, and the rest of the guys made a team in Airdrie. So it was Airdrie's first year that I had started playing. And, they said they had, 40 to 50 guys on the roster the year before, and there's 4 guys left.
Jeez,
to try
crazy.
to rebuild the team. So definitely a huge shock, but I still had this mentality that, this is still a winning program. And I'm not going to go play for a team that's going to start winning. At the end of the day, I'm going to get playing time, and I hadn't played in 2 years. So I was just happy to be on the field and to step on the field. And for the first 3 years being with the Wolfpack, we didn't win a single game. You know, we had some really rough days, you know, but at the end of the day, we stuck with it, and you know, we're the defending Alberta Football League champions right now. So
wow, what a journey!
So turned it around.
Yeah, you know, so you know, and I'm proud to say that even despite having so few guys, we never had to forfeit a game. Never forfeit a half, never forfeit a play. The guys that have been with us from those moments have played every single down, and you know, just the character in those guys, whether they had played football before in high school or whether they had never played before, you know, the character and just the love of the game between all those guys and wanting to be on the field was just something truly special and something that I wanted to continue being a part of. So
let's dive into that a little more. So you're talking about the makeup of the team.
Mhm.
And so you have guys like you who maybe had a couple of years off from football from high school. You know, what was like, how high did the caliber go? Was there former U Sports athletes, potentially former CFL players? Like, you know, if you're explaining it to someone who's never heard of this league before, you know, what's the age range, or what's the makeup of the team?
Yeah. So it's like you said, it's men's league. So as long as you're over 18, there's a spot for you on a roster, whether it be with a championship team or whether it be with guys that just want to go out and play. So we have some guys, you know, we've had a couple guys on the team who played in the CFL before, guys who played U Sports, guys who are trying to make CFL rosters. And then we have guys who came to us in their mid-30s who had never played before. You know, not even in high school, not in Pee-wee or Bantam, anything like that. They just decided, you know what, I like football, and a couple of my guys are asking me to start getting into it, and they came out, you know, without having any idea of what it even looks like from the other side of a helmet. So, and everywhere in between. And wow. You know, I'll admit I fall wildly in that in between area. But yeah, you know, a lot of the guys I've had the opportunity to play with, whether it be those ex-CFL guys or whether it just be character guys that just love the game of football and they don't care about their talent level. They just want to come out and play some football. So
that's incredible. Auzzie, do you have something to say there?
I was just gonna say that sounds like such a cool environment. I wish we had something like that down here in the Hat. I would sign up to like today.
Yeah, from what I hear, I believe in the past Medicine Hat has had a team briefly. Yeah, I'm not too sure what's going on out there. You know,
flaky.
Maybe look into it there, Auzzie. See if you can get a group of guys together, you know, and start playing some ball and traveling out to Calgary and Fort Mac and all that.
There you go.
Yeah, that'd be a hoot.
What's the makeup of that league then, Kelsey? You're traveling around Alberta, and then you guys had the opportunity to go to Toronto for a national championship.
Yeah. So how that worked. So currently for this upcoming season, there's going to be 7 teams in the Alberta Football League. So that's the Calgary Wolfpack, the Airdrie Irish, Central Alberta Buccaneers, who are a great football program. I mean, they haven't won a championship ever, but we'll let them talk to me about that. A new team that's starting up is the Edmonton Elite. So that is a brand new team that's going to get started up. There's also going to be the Peace County Cowboys, another new team. They're more or less a rebranding of the Grand Prairie Drillers. And then the Fort McMurray Monarchs, who are, you know, they've won a couple Alberta Football League championships and have had some really, really talented guys come out of there. So
cool. The Edmonton football team's going to have to scratch off Elite now. That belongs to the AFL. And Kelsey, I see you're flashing the ring, man. Do you want to speak a little bit on the championship game and then going to nationals in Toronto?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, our Alberta Football League championship game was definitely a game to watch, for sure. It was a back and forth game. We got out actually to a pretty big deficit in the first half, but the character of our guys, whether it be the guys that were with us when we weren't winning a single game, whether it be our quarterback, Daryl Leeson, who, I mean, his name in the league is legend. Everybody just calls him legend because he's won it all with everybody. And cool. Then, a few more of our talented guys, and it was all led by Coach Keon. To be able to say, look, we've been down before. We've been down to this particular team before. And let's just keep getting at it, keep making our plays, focus on the fundamentals. And, the last couple minutes of the game were really, really back and forth. I think we had scored to go up by 4, and their quarterback was injured, but they were still able to throw for a passing touchdown. I played defensive back. I wasn't on the field at the time, so that's my little defense on that one. But then the offense, just came out absolutely clutch and put together one of the most impressive drives I think I've ever seen in my life. Shout out to our receiving crew. Those guys weren't very open, but they made some incredible catches. Daryl made some incredible throws. They got down the field and scored the winning touchdown to win it 30-26.
That's incredible.
So the way it works out with going out to Toronto is they have their league out there. So it's the Northern Football Conference, which is, pretty sure that's trademarked by the NFL, but we won't talk about that. So those guys out there, they play their own season amongst their own teams out there, and it's actually a little bit different playing out there because they play 4-down football. A little bit more of the American rules. You don't have to give that yard off the line. Wow. And every year we would flip-flop where the national championship game would play. So if it's in Alberta, we'd play the Alberta Football League rules. And then the next year we'd go play it in Ontario. Whoever wins that league would be the host team. And we play their rules. So it was won by the Greater Toronto Area All-Stars, which, just like their name, pretty much the all-star team for the NFC. Just like, it was like playing the Monstars out there, man. Like it was crazy. The amount of talent that they had on that team. So yeah, we went out there. I ended up playing corner for the first time in my life, which was very interesting.
No better time than the championship game, hey?
Yeah, well, exactly right. I like to think it was a genius move by Keon to put me there. He figured there's no yard off the line. My fat ass could just get in the way. I could just jam anybody off the line. So that's what we did. We put up an incredible fight in that game. We actually had the ball for about the first 12 or 13 minutes of the game. We marched down the field. We put it in the end zone, and it was called back from a penalty, and our offense just lost momentum from there.
Oh, it's the worst.
Defensively, I could tell we absolutely shocked that team. We only gave up really 2 touchdowns on defense. They scored 1 pick six. They had another interception returned to the 1. One of the touchdowns we gave up was in the 4th quarter, and the other one, it's like I said, that team out there, it was like playing the Monstars. They had so much talent. They were bound to score some points. So yeah, unfortunately we weren't able to come out with the win, but playing out east, being able to have my family out there, it was just such a great experience, and just being out there with the guys, especially the guys that have been there since 2015. And we went through that big spout of losing games. It was just such a special moment and such a great weekend.
That's awesome, man. That sounds like an incredible journey. So, you're still playing in the Alberta Football League.
I am.
And you've transitioned now into a coaching role where we met at the big time 7-on-7 league. So you kind of have a unique perspective on coaching versus playing, as you're doing both at the moment right now. There might not be an answer to this question, but in your opinion, what's more rewarding and what's the best piece of advice you have for former or current players that want to get into coaching, and like some maybe mistakes that they can avoid in terms of coaching compared to playing? Because, sometimes they might try to relate to the players too much or try to be one of the players when they're supposed to be at that authority level.
Absolutely. I mean, what? It's actually a super easy answer for the one which is more rewarding. Coaching, 100%. I've won championships as a player. I've gone winless as a player. I've been around some incredible teams and teammates. And I don't know if it's just my character, but I've always been the type to get the most excited at my teammates making plays. I could go out there and make plays all the live long day, and I'll stand up and go next. I expect myself to make those plays, and that's how I think every player should be. As a coach and as a teammate, watching your teammates or your students make plays, that's when I go crazy. And I know, Coach Steve, you could vouch for this. I mean, I absolutely I just love watching football. So to be able to be on the field, to be able to call the plays and watch these kids execute plays, especially those younger kids, those high school kids that are still, learning concepts, understanding where they need to be on the field. And when they make those plays, it's just so great. I just couldn't ask for a better feeling, especially with the team that we had with the 7-versus-7. We knew from the start that we had probably the most talented team in that league. And, I know Keon mentioned it a bunch of times, and myself, you, KJ, who was also coaching with us, we knew it, and we just couldn't come out with those wins. We made plays. We were a hell of a team.
Those damn 1-score games, man.
Oh man, I think every single game except for the very first one we played was a 1-score game. And then that last weekend, that Friday, Saturday, where we played a couple games on the Friday and then the championship day on Saturday, and the kids showed up, and just being able to have gone, unfortunately we lost in that championship game, but I mean, we played more football that day than anybody. We were the bottom seeded team, and we had to beat the best teams to get to where we were. And it was so rewarding to know that everything that us three as coaches had given these players, right? We gave them all the tools that they needed to be successful. And they came out and they had absorbed all that information. And they came out, they made their plays. They knew why we called certain plays. They knew the situations that they were in. They were just aware of their field position, of who they were up against on the other teams, which was like, just to be able to share that information and have those young men absorb that it's just such a rewarding experience.
Absolutely, man. So, and I couldn't agree more with everything you said. Is there a piece of advice from like someone who's potentially playing or had played and that's going into coaching that you can give? I know for me, when I first got into coaching, I was offered to go coach the high school team right away. And I didn't want to do that because I felt like I still knew players on the team. So I didn't want to be their friend, like I'm the coach kind of thing. Right. So I actually coached the junior team, which, you're a little more older. I was in my second year of college and they're in grade 7, 8, 9. So I felt like that was an easier transition. Do you struggle that at all? Because, we're both young guys and now you're coaching, high school kids still, but you're still a player. What's that transition like for you and flipping that switch from player to coach?
It's a good question. The funny answer would be just don't yell at the refs. And I really hope Keon hears that, because I think he'll get a good chuckle out of that one, because I gave him a hard time in a couple games. But no, realistically, it's, let the kids get their reps and let them make mistakes. It's so easy, especially as a coach, to be in practice. Me, I myself and KJ, we were running around with the kids and almost getting our reps in as well at practice. But the priority was Yeah.
That doesn't surprise me one bit,
Yeah,
Steve.
okay.
I put my cleats on, but I just jog around. That was about it.
It's okay. Steve did the ab workout, so we had that going for us.
I did at the end. I had to take part.
But yeah, like just understand when it's, the difference between drills and the difference between educating the kids and getting them to understand. We had a great dynamic in the sense that we were able to have a lot of fun with the coaches participating with the kids. But when it was time to put in work and when it was time to understand our plays and our concepts, it was all about the kids, right? And that was the priority, as it should be. Obviously as a player, and I know for the last few years I've been guilty of this even as a player, of trying to coach a little bit too much, and taking a step back from my actual playing abilities. Just understand the difference between playing and coaching. As a player, you almost have to be selfish. You have to be able to absorb that information a lot more from your coaches, and then just go out there and make the plays that need to be made, obviously while still doing your job. As opposed to coaching, you have to be selfless. And you might want to go out and have some fun, especially that inner player in you. You want to go out, you want to catch balls, but at the end of the day, you want to make these players the best players that they could be, and watch them succeed and watch them go forward and carry on their football career even after being coached by yourself. So yeah.
Great answer.
Man, that's just hearing you guys kind of talk about the coaching side of things. This sounds like a world that I need to get involved in. This is wild. And just hearing some of the things you're saying in terms of the championship game for the big time 7v7 league. That was hearing how like all the concepts came together for those kids and stuff like that. It's sounds like a level of analysis that a person has to put into. I never learned all the concepts myself, but just being able to learn that and then to teach that to kids that are trying to learn the game as well, it just sounds phenomenal and like a really cool experience. Like you said, pretty rewarding in itself.
Absolutely. Well, and to speak on our coaching staff that we had, I think that speaks volumes to who we had, because we obviously had that professional athlete and that professional football player who's been through it all, whether it be from the United States and his journey to the CFL and KJ. And then we had, our Canadian football offensive guru in Steve,
Guru's pushing it,
to be able to give his insight, and make, design a few plays and really give his insight as to situations and all that we had going on in front of us. And then myself defensively, just to bring the whole team all around. And every single one of those guys absorbed all the information that we had between the three of us. It was so much fun. It was such a rewarding experience.
That's fantastic.
Couldn't agree more.
Steve, I can only imagine the person that I thought of when he said, when Kelsey said you're the guru, was Kyle Shanahan with that flat brim hat.
The flat brim hat. Yeah. I'm on the sideline. Thankfully our quarterback was better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So I was a happy offensive assistant. Man. So
he's a hell of a kid.
Yeah. Really good. The players on this team, like, it just made me realize the talent Canadian football has to offer. And, it's insane, because especially coming from Medicine Hat, where there's talent, but like you have your kind of few stars that go on to play like CJFL or U Sports. But, I look at our entire team and I could probably say all of them have a future beyond high school football. I mean, you couldn't say that really about our high school team, and I'm a prime example. I didn't go anywhere after high school football. So these kids are I'm blown away by the talent that exists in the city. And I'm sure there's more in Medicine Hat since I've left, and I'm sure there's more across Alberta and Canada as a whole. But I was just, I couldn't speak highly enough of the talent on that team as well.
Let's shift to some CFL talk, Kelsey. Talk about our Alouettes. And
let's do it.
How confident are you that Vernon Adams Jr. Can have the same kind of output in 21 that he did in 2019?
I was a huge fan of the trade to even acquire the rights for Vernon Adams in, 2015, 2016, when he hadn't ever played a professional football game. And then watching his journey through the CFL from the Alouettes to the Tiger Cats and the Riders, back to the Alouettes, that I feel really helped him. Honestly, I'm super excited. I liked, obviously, his talent level from the start, but every CFL player I feel is going to have that talent level, right? They're there for a reason. To me, it's the passion for the game of football and the drive to not only make yourself better, but to make your teammates better. And I feel Vernon Adams is absolutely a guy that has that drive and that heart. I feel for so long the Alouettes were trying to find the replacement for Anthony Calvillo, right? To find the next Calvillo. But I don't think it's about finding the next Calvillo, right? Calvillo wasn't the next anybody. Calvillo was the first Calvillo. So to get back to that, Alouettes that I grew up, cheering for and loving, that just absolutely wiped the floor with the league. We need to find the first Vernon Adams, right? And make it his team, right? The guys around him need to understand that, that's his team, and the front office has put it in his hands, and they're giving him the pieces to be able to do so. There's a few guys missing that, it hurts to say, unfortunately, that they won't be back with the Alouettes. Obviously, most notably, John Bowman is that guy. I met John Bowman a few times when I was a kid, and I met him a few times as an adult. And he's just an absolute professional, and I wish the best for him with whatever he does beyond the Alouettes. But I think that Danny Machocha and Kahari Jones, they have some great pieces around them, and it all starts with Vernon Adams.
I absolutely agree. And that Kahari Jones, Vernon Adams tandem, it's just, you need a good quarterback coach duo. And I feel like we have that kind of synchronicity now.
Absolutely.
Big words, Auzzie. I wasn't ready for that shit.
Yeah, sorry. And you had mentioned, I got to do this plug here. It's a running thing. I got to make a Patriots reference here as a Patriots fan. So one thing you had mentioned about trying to find the next Calvillo, I feel like the Patriots were in a position where fans were trying to find the next Brady a year after he leaves. And it's like, there's just no way you can do that. You got to find, that's unfair for the next quarterback coming in. You got to let the quarterback kind of come into his own. And I feel like Vernon Adams, with the various stops along his way, as you mentioned, Kelsey, he found himself in a position where he was always fighting for a starting spot, finally gets that, and he doesn't look back. He wasn't even the starter to start 2019, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
Pipkin got injured week 1, and Vernon Adams comes in and boom, he's gone. He's 4,000 yards passing, and the amount of the comebacks in that season were next to none. Like, I remember the Winnipeg game. We were live at the Calgary game.
Yeah.
There is just something else with this guy, and I'm super stoked. He's got the it factor that you want in a quarterback.
Absolutely.
And they're building. I haven't been paying attention to their signings, if they've kind of been trickling in since free agency started, but they do seem to want to build around that offense where they're bringing back guys like Gino.
I think Stanback is back.
Stanback's
back. We have Stanback and Sutton back. That running back core is going to be insane.
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to be the wet blanket here, but I was listening to Derek Taylor. He's the analytics guy at Saskatchewan, and he had a stat. And for those that don't know, Vernon Adams had some really great stats: 3,942 yards passing, 24 touchdowns, 13 picks, and then 394 yards rushing and 12 rushing touchdowns. But he mentioned that, and I'm glad they're starting to actually track this stuff, but Vernon Adams had, what was it, 9 or 10 dropped interceptable passes, or he had 9 or 10 interceptable passes that were either dropped or deflected by a receiver, like one of his own receivers, to prevent the interception. Are you guys at all, and we'll start with you, Kelsey, are you at all worried about that kind of variance? And even Auzzie referenced a lot of the comebacks. It's hard to rely on that year over year. Are you worried that he might be a little inconsistent and that you might, things might come back down to earth this year? Or are you confident that, the culture they've built and the support system they have around him and his talent that speaks for itself is enough to continue an upward trend as opposed to, cratering?
Well, definitely, I was going to say, for all the entertaining comebacks that we watched, it's good to know that he has that in his repertoire, but to be able to do that every single game, that's not how you're going to win any championships, right? You want to be able to win games. You want to be able to get ahead and hang on to leads and not just get behind and rely on the fact that you guys know that you're a fourth quarter team to come back and win a game. But I will say this, in the signings that Danny Machoch has had, you could tell he's very Vernon Adams focused. He's really bolstered that offensive line to give Vernon a lot more time in the pocket. I mean, obviously we all know Vernon has the ability to tuck it, run, to make plays with his legs and make incredible throws on the run. But just like being able to come back in football games, that's not how you're going to win championships. It's nice to have that in your repertoire, but you have to be able to put together drives, especially in the CFL, from the quarterback position. So to have those two running backs and Stanback and Sutton, who not only are just great ball carrying running backs, they can both catch the ball out of the backfield as checkdowns, and they can both pass block if they need to, as well as all the receivers that he now has around him, being able to get a burner in Naaman Roosevelt, who re-signed with the Alouettes, to be able to have your possession receivers like Gino, like Weineke, and to put all those pieces around him. I'm a little bit uncertain of how our defense is going to look, because we have been very Vernon Adams support oriented. But that's definitely, you could tell the Alouettes front office was thinking that same thing, is, let's put the pieces in around Vernon Adams, give him the best opportunity to do what he does best, which is win football games.
I was also going to add, Steve, too. I think that there was actually, I'm not going to go at that point. I was just looking up Quan Bray because he was one of my favorite receivers from that 2019 year. Is he done now, or is he still in the league? Is he coming back? I haven't seen anything on him.
That's I hope he is. He has a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And I would like to see, just like anybody in football, anybody who's gone through hardships in life and anything like that, I would love to see him get himself sorted out, especially with the Alouettes. But to rely on him to be a number one receiver, or even to be a starting receiver right now, I think would be a little bit unrational. He has all the talent in the world, but stuff to come from some legal issues. So
quick question, actually, and it's on a lighter note, totally unrelated. Considering you've been an Alouettes fan for the longest time, what were your thoughts on the new uniforms? Were you more of a traditionalist and you liked the ones you grew up on, or did you like the total rebrand?
I didn't mind the total rebrand, and here's why. Because the Alouettes I grew up watching were the Anthony Calvillo Alouettes. They were the guys, and I mean, you knew the uniforms when they came to town, and you knew those silver helmets when they came to town. In the years after Anthony's retirement, it's like we said, they kept trying to find the next Anthony Calvillo. And, I think the rebranding was almost the front office acknowledging the fact that, okay, the Calvillo days are over. My mom's going to kill me, by the way, for saying this. But, acknowledging, okay, what, we have to stop looking for the next Anthony Calvillo, and we have to find the first whoever it may be. And right now it's Vernon Adams, right? So, I don't mind them. I think they're sharp looking uniforms.
I like them too. I love that rebrand. Auzzie, what were your thoughts?
I love them, man. I think they're slick. And I just looked up Quan Bray and typed in news, and I totally forgot about just the tiny little bit of marijuana he tried smuggling across the border or whatever it was.
Just a bit of weed.
157 pounds. Oh,
yeah,
man. Just for those that were curious about what a smidge of weed was.
It's legal in most of North America now. You don't have to smuggle 157 pounds of weed over the border.
Oh God! Meanwhile,
just go to the store and buy it, man.
Yeah, no doubt. Meanwhile, you guys were being so polite about not mentioning it, and here I am. I thought that there might have been maybe just a team wasn't picking him up or something. Here he's just got this felony against.
Well, I do believe they did re-sign him. I believe he is still under contract, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that, and to see if he's able to come back and play. And if he does, I hope he sticks in Montreal, and because he has all the talent in the world, right? He's a great player.
He was so fun to watch. I wanted to pick your brain a little bit, Kelsey, on what your thoughts are about those pesky Argonauts that just keep signing anything with a pulse. I'm a little worried. I'm not gonna lie.
Don't be.
Oh.
And I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Do you remember the Alouettes rosters that we would have after, like, the years after the Calvillo days? And on paper, we had such an incredible team, right? Like the year that I think our receiving core, we had Nick Lewis, we had Fred Stamps. I think we still had SJ Green at the time. Yeah. We had Terrell Sutton in our backfield. We might have still had Brandon Whitaker. Like we just had a stacked team on paper. And I mean, like we couldn't win to save our lives. On paper, that was the best team, but they got to play the games, right?
Yeah.
Now look at who the general manager of both those teams are. It's the same guy. I think, with Jim Pop, I think he's still riding the coattails of bringing in Anthony Calvillo in the late 90s. Obviously still a great GM. He, has that reputation that obviously these guys all want to go play for him, but they got to play the games, right? And if you look at their quarterbacks, just like the Alouettes of old, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of talent, but it's like I mentioned earlier, those guys are all in the CFL for a reason. They have talent. How much are they actually going to want to win and play as a team and be able to make it to the Grey Cup? Because although, even though there's only 9 teams in the league, it's not easy to make it to the Grey Cup, let alone win.
It's true. You had Winnipeg with a 29-year drought, and now you have Hamilton since 1999, so that's a 21-year drought. I think you mentioned Pop. I think it's Pinball pulling the trigger on all of these. I'm not sure if Pop's still there or not, but I think the point remains the same. They're building like a dream team kind of thing, right? Mm-hmm. And that's my biggest concern is it's, what's the chemistry going to look like? We might not have a preseason, or training camp might be 2 weeks long as opposed to a month or something, right? Mini camps won't be a thing. We don't know what this is going to look like. So that's my concern too. And Arbuckle only had 7 starts under his belt, went 4-3. And now you have these guys coming in, NFL players who got to learn the game, especially Martavis Bryant, Kendall Wright, Shane Ray, Sean Oakman, which I don't believe he's a former NFL guy. I'm not sure if he ever made a roster. He had some legal issues that prevented him from.
Yeah, he's just a physical.
He's just a specimen.
Yeah.
I think the signings that worry me are the Charleston Hughes, the Odell Willises, last year, Breskeson, some of the more CFL experienced guys, Devaris Daniels. Those ones kind of worry me. But right now, if I had to just go to a quick rank of kind of how I feel the East is going to shake out, I'm going to say Hamilton, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa. I'm really glad Ottawa has Nichols and La Police, but the rest of that talent scares me. I don't think there'll be 3 wins bad, but that's kind of how I see it shaking out. I mean, maybe you can coin flip Toronto and Montreal right now, but I'm really worried about how a rookie head coach Dinwiddie's going to bring that together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think the entire league is going to be so interesting, right? Because none of these guys have played in 2 years, you know. So especially without the mini camps and all that, you know, how much chemistry is there going to be between even, you know, the defending Grey Cup champs,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like having not played an entire season, that is so easy to lose a lot of chemistry and a lot of the vibes with the guys that you have playing, and, you know, as a defending champion, whether it be the hangover or you're riding the momentum, that's all gone now. You know, it's going to be like almost a brand new league coming out of this, you know, this whole COVID season that never happened for the CFL.
You bet. Either way, I just hope we get, whether it's 8, 10, or 18 games, I hope we get some CFL football. It sounds like the Oilers and Flames have put in applications to get fans in the stands for their games. So if they allow fans in a closed arena setting, then, you know, that's good news for the CFL. Mask up, outdoor venue, space them out, man, and let's get some CFL football going, and some some money flowing to the league, and let's get things fired up again. I'm sure KJ and everyone would agree. To wrap things up, Kelsey, it's a question we ask all our interviewees, and we love it so much because we get such a broad spectrum of answers, and you know, sometimes it catches people off guard. But what's the greatest lesson football has taught you?
Oh, I thought this was going to be the catch-up question.
Oh, it's the next one. You've been listening. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Nice work.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, why is he laughing right now? I'm about to ask a really in-depth question.
Sorry, just one more time. I kind of laughed and answered.
No problem. What's the greatest lesson football has taught you?
The greatest lesson football has taught me. Whew, it's definitely a tough one. But at the end of the day, you just got to stay true to yourself and roll with the punches. You know, just like in a football game, life is not going to go in a linear direction. You know, it's not going to be 60 minutes of, you know, up and down the field. Everything is going to go the way you want it to. That's just not going to happen, right? So to be able to, you know, obviously have a game plan going into life, as well as going into a football game, but being able to make your adjustments, being able to understand that, you know, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to put yourself in some tough positions, and you're going to put yourself in some great positions, and being able to capitalize on those great times, and to be able to bounce back and not get down on yourself for those rough times. Would really be the number one thing that I think about, right?
That's fantastic, man. That's great advice.
Yep.
And for our last question,
the
one that you were expecting, first of all, Kelsey Fender, does ketchup belong on Kraft dinner?
No.
Oh,
So, no, it does not. But as you know, Steve, I work in the restaurant industry, so I have a little bit of an elevated palate at this point in my life. So I might just be biased towards Kraft dinner as a whole. I will leave you with something a little bit interesting. We're all athletes here, right? We all need our protein. A can of tuna, or even some sockeye salmon. Throw that in your Kraft dinner if you're looking to add a little bit of extra stuff and make it a meal that isn't just processed noodles and cheese. Yeah, you know, you will be surprised. You know, you get a little bit of that saltiness from the canned fish, and lots of protein in there.
You lost Steve at protein because he needs that. He's a straight up a processed kind of guy.
I'm Italian, so anywhere I can get my carbs, I'll get them. But I like that. I like the tuna thing. I don't know if I've tried that before, or maybe I'm thinking I had a tuna sub at Subway once. I didn't like that too much, but I do like tuna, so I've had a tuna sandwich before. And that
not compare tuna with tuna sandwiches at Subway. There's no comparison.
No.
Well, you know, now here would be another interesting thing to try. Would be, what if you put Kraft dinner on a tuna sub from Subway?
I'm intrigued enough to try it, actually.
now we mentioned this earlier. Marijuana is legal in most of North America, so so that might help you out with that experiment.
Third and Wrong doesn't condone marijuana usage, but if that's what it takes to have a craft dinner tuna sub, then go for it. So, Kelsey, you mentioned
good.
you mentioned you're in the restaurant industry. Where can people come find you working if you want to disclose that information? But I guess more importantly, where can people find you on social media?
Yeah, so right now I'm working out of Char Bar restaurants down in the East Village here in Calgary. We do some great stuff there. Our ownership team and our management team is phenomenal. So definitely a great local business to support. As supporting local businesses right now is definitely the most important thing for people throughout the pandemic. If you want to find me on social media in the bartending world, it would be _creative spirits on the Instagram. I'm not on Twitter or anything like that. I feel like I would post a lot of weird stuff on Twitter if I was, so I try to stay away from it.
That's fair.
Yeah, so at _creative spirits for the bartending stuff. If you're looking for a little bit more of the football stuff, I posted more on my personal Instagram, which is K the Fender 11. I'm sure you guys will have that tagged when we post.
Absolutely, right in the show notes, everyone.
Yeah, right on. So yeah, that's definitely how to find me. There might be some pretty big stuff coming up in the bar world, but we'll wait till we hear some news on that. But yeah, that's how to find me in my actual professional life.
There you go, man. You're a man of many practices. You got the bartending going on, you coach, and you still playing football. So hopefully the AFL can go through with their return to play plan. You said that might be pushed into the summer, but here's our fingers crossed, and we're hoping we can be coaching again in the spring league 7-on-7 as early as May. So lots going on, and thank you for taking the time to join us, Kelsey. And we hope everyone got value out of your words and the differences playing in Quebec to Alberta, playing in the men's league, coaching, making that transition. Rooting for your Alouettes, except for when they play the Riders, but we'll take it from there.
You know what? Just because you said that, I'm going to put my money on that's the Grey Cup matchup upcoming this year.
I think Auzzie had that same prediction.
Yes.
Did you actually? Okay. Yeah. All right. Honestly, guys, thank you so much for having me. This was my first ever podcast, so I hope I wasn't too awkward with you guys.
Awkward's our middle name, man. We've been faking it the whole way here. So
excellent. Yeah. Again, guys, thank you so much for having me. Tons of fun to be able to take some time and do this. Thanks for adjusting your schedules a little bit to work around my bar life schedule there, because I do not work normal people hours. Definitely great hearing the podcast, and what you guys are doing. I think it's important for the Canadian football fans all around, whether it be from amateur all the way up to the CFL, to have you guys, especially throughout the pandemic and all the people you guys were able to interview. It was just great to be able to listen to some football related stuff. So
thanks, man. It's cool to know we're making a difference, no matter how big or small. It's always happy to hear that. So thank you. And we'll definitely have you on again soon. Maybe we'll have you on definitely after the Riders beat the Alouettes this year, and then I can just come in and rub it in your face. Or if the Argos and Alouettes play, we missed out on Zach tonight. He's an Argos fan. We'll get him back on here. And
Argos have fans?
Oh, okay. You know what? On that note, we're going to end it. You know where to find Auzzie and I. So for our regular listeners, if you're not following us already, what the hell are you doing? But be sure to go check out Kelsey's work and give him a follow. Support his restaurant. If you're in the Calgary area, visit the Char Bar in the East Village. Thank you. Good night. Godspeed.
Thanks, guys.